Hello students, I am VLN Swarupini from the Department of Life Sciences from Sri Venkateswara College of Arts and Sciences, which is affiliated to Adikavi Nannaya University, Rajahmundry. Now I would like to discuss about second BSc Biotechnology third semester biotech paper, that is Biophysical Techniques. So from this paper we have 5 units. In unit 1 we will discuss about spectrophotometry related topics, and unit 2 we will discuss about chromatography topics, and in unit 3 we will discuss about electrophoresis, and in unit 4 isotropic tracer techniques, and in unit 5 we will see about centrifugation. So let's start with the unit 1, that is about spectrophotometry. In this we will see about Beer-Lambert's law and deviation for Beer-Lambert's law, and we will see about UV visible spectrophotometry and also about calorimetry. So let's start with the first topic. Okay. So let's start with this topic, that is spectrophotometry, and what is the light source for the spectrophotometry. So let's start. So basically light is supposed to have dual characteristics. Okay, light will have dual characteristic, that is dual characteristic means it has two types of characters. One is corpuscular character, one is wave character. Okay, so here wave character of light is very important. Because of that wave character only we are able to see the wave, see the light, and its light will travel in the form of wave. Okay, and that particular light will help us in many different kinds of applications. Okay, and if a beam of light can be understood as electromagnetic wave, so here as this light is travel in the form of waves, and every beam of light, okay, due to scatteredness of the light, light will be split into different beams. Okay, and each beam of the light can be taken as a electromagnetic wave. Okay, electromagnetic wave, and these electromagnetic waveform distribute and propagate the photon energy at 3 into 10 to the power of 8 minutes per second speed of light. Okay, so coming to this electromagnetic wave form of the light, that means light which is in the form of electromagnetic wave, it will be distributed and will be it will propagate the photon energy at 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second speed of light. That means this particular electromagnetic wave will have speed at 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. So if you see the electromagnetic field here, these are the different beams of light in the electric field. These are different beams of light. If you take beam in one direction, okay, beam will pass in one direction. Okay, and the magnetic vector and electric vector are perpendicular to the direction of propagation. Okay, magnetic vector and electric vector are perpendicular to the direction of propagation. Now let's see about wavelength. Wavelength is nothing but the distance between crust and trough. Okay, so if you see the diagram here, the curve which is to the upward is called as crest, and the wave which is downwards is called as trough. Okay, so this crest and trough, so these two are considered as the distance between these two is considered as wavelength. So we calculate wavelength of light as the distance between crest and trough. Okay, and this wavelength may be measured in centimeters or micrometers or nanometers or angstroms. So wavelength can be measured in centimeters, micrometers, nanometers or angstroms. And frequency, this is the number of waves passing through a fixed point on a time axis is known as frequency. Okay, so if we take a fixed point and through that particular fixed point, if how many number of waves are being passed in particular time, that particular point is called as frequency. Okay, we'll take a point and we'll calculate number of waves are passing through that point in a fixed time, so that will help us to know the frequency. Okay, the frequency of radiation generally expressed in Hertz, cycles or seconds. Okay, and frequency and inverse relationship with wavelength, so that frequency is equal to c by lambda. Here c is the speed of the light or velocity of light. Okay, speed of light or velocity of light, and lambda here is the wavelength. Okay, and the wave number is complete cycles occur in per centimeter. Wave number shows complete cycles and it occurs per centimeter, and this frequency is inversely proportional to the 1 by lambda. Okay, wave number here it is denoted with V dash is denoted with wave number. Okay, and the energy of proton can be related to its wavelength and frequency with the help of Planck's constant h. Okay, here energy of the proton. Okay, so proton's energy, and this is related to wavelength and frequency. Proton's energy, which is related to wavelength and frequency, can be indicated with Planck's constant. Okay, Planck's constant is denoted with h. Here E, energy, is equal to h V. H means Planck's constant and V is the frequency. And h, if you further see that h is E is equal to h into c by lambda. C is the velocity of light, lambda is the frequency wavelength, and here h is the Planck's constant. So this is the relationship between energy of the proton with wavelength and frequency. Here the wavelength and frequency shares an inverse relationship with each other. That means wavelength and frequency shares an inverse relationship with each other, and this means wavelength increase, the energy of radiation decrease. That means as these are inversely proportional to each other, it means whenever the wavelength increase, energy of radiation will decrease, and if energy of radiation increase, wavelength will decrease. Okay, so based on the light and the characteristics of light like frequency, wavelength and all these, there is a law of absorption. Okay, we discussed different kinds of laws of absorption. Now let's see about them. The absorption of light by an absorbing material is governed by two laws. Okay, absorption of light by absorbing material is explained with two laws. First one is Borger-Lambert's law and the second one is Beer's law. Okay, here Borger-Lambert's law and Beer's law. Now let's see Borger-Lambert's law. This particular law states the amount of light. It states the amount of light absorption is proportional to the thickness of the absorbed material and is independent of the intensity of incident light. Okay, so according to Borger-Lambert's law, here amount of light absorbed, okay, amount of light which is being absorbed by the absorbing material is dependent on the thickness of the absorbing material, okay, and not on the intensity of the incident light. That means it is not dependent on the how light is passed with high intensity or low intensity. It is not a factor there. It is only the thickness of the absorbing material. If the absorbing material is thick, it will absorb more amount of light. If the thickness of the absorbing material is less, then amount of light absorbed will be less. So according to Borger-Lambert's law, what they explained, the amount of light absorbed will only proportional means equal to the thickness of the absorption material and not to the independent of the intensity of incident light. Okay, and this is clearly an exponential function and it can be expressed as I by I naught is equal to e to the power of minus kb. I by I naught is equal to e to the power of minus kb. Here I is the intensity of transmitted light. That means the light which is being transmitted through the absorbing material. Okay, it is denoted with I. Whereas I naught is the intensity of incident light. That means the whatever light is being projected onto this absorbing material, the whole incident light is denoted with I naught. Okay, and I is only the light which is being transmitted. Okay, so some of the light will be scattered in other directions, so that is not calculated in I, but that even the scattered light or light which is not being absorbed by the absorbing material is calculated in I naught. Okay, and B is the, here e to the power of minus kb is there now. So B is the thickness of absorbing material, and K, it is a linear absorption coefficient. Okay, it is the absorption coefficient. Linear, why linear? This light is only incident in the single direction, okay, in a linear form. So here the absorption coefficient, we take it as linear absorption coefficient, and K is denoted for that. Okay, and the above relation can be removed by converting to logarithmic form. So we can convert this I naught by I is equal to e to the power of minus kb can be converted into logarithmic form. Okay, so this 2.303 log 10 is equal to I naught by I is equal to kb. So finally we will get I naught by I is equal to kb. And the next law is Beer's law. First law is Borger-Lambert's law, and here Beer's law. Okay, what was discussed in Borger-Lambert's law? Only the amount of light absorbed is proportional to the thickness of the absorbed material and not to the independent of intensity of the incident light. Only the thickness of the absorbed material is dependent for the light absorption and not for the intensity of the incident light. Okay, and the next law is Beer's law, and this law states that the amount of light absorbed by a material, this is the law that states that the amount of light absorbed by a material is proportional to the number of absorbing molecules and concentration of absorbing solution. So here what it is explaining, this Beer's law is explaining, so it is explaining here amount of light absorbed by any material, this is dependent on the number of absorbing molecules and concentration of absorbing solution. So here one more factor is added. Okay, so here it is dependent on the number of absorbing molecules. Okay, and along with this concentration of the absorbing solution. So if we are using low concentrating absorbing solution, it will absorb less components, less light molecules. Whereas if we are using high concentration absorbing solution, then absorption of light will be high. So in this manner, Beer's law explained amount of light absorbed by a material is equal to the number of absorbing molecules and also the concentration of the absorbing solution, and this can be mathematically given as I by I naught is equal to e to the power of minus k dash c. Okay, here C is the concentration of absorbing solution. C is the concentration of absorbing solution. Here this mathematical formula can be further changed with logarithmic value, that is by adding 2.303 log 10, this is converted into I naught by I is equal to k dash c. So here k dash is the absorptivity of the absorptivity constant and c is the concentration of the absorbing solution, and here I means as usual it is intensity of the transmitted light and I naught is the intensity of the incident light. Okay, so here both the laws, that is Boger-Lambert's law and also Beer's law, they have few flaws, that means few disadvantages. So to rectify those disadvantages or flaws of the two laws, both laws were combined. Okay, and the combination of both two laws referred to as Beer-Lambert's law, and it is mentioned as log 10 I naught by I is equal to ABC. Here A is the absorptivity constant and B is the path length and C is the concentration of absorbing solution. So A is the absorptivity constant, B is the path length and C is the concentration of absorbing solution. And what this Beer-Lambert's law will state? This law states that the amount of light is absorbed is proportional to the concentration of absorbing substance and to the thickness of absorbing material. So here finally a proper law to explain light absorption was given, that is Beer-Lambert's law. In this Beer-Lambert's law, it states that amount of light is absorbed is proportional to the concentration of absorbing substance and to the thickness of absorbing material. Here both the concentration and thickness also considered here. That means here concentration of the absorbing substance and also the thickness of the absorbing material is proportional to the amount of light absorbed. So amount of light absorbed will depend on the concentration of absorbing substance and also the thickness of the absorbing material. Okay. So this is how Beer-Lambert's law explained the absorption of light. Okay, and here the quantity I naught by I is known as the absorbance or optical density. So I naught by I is the optical density. So whenever you have undergone a calorimetric identification, okay, so for example you are doing an estimation process, okay, like estimation of amylase by estimation of carbohydrates by amylase activity. This sort of estimations when you are doing, you will take a calorimetric OD values. Okay, so whenever you place that particular sample in the calorimetry, you will get a value and we call it as optical density value. So here it is nothing but I naught by I. Okay, and will this OD values will help us to get the value which can be plotted on the graph. Okay, so we'll take the OD values and for every sample we'll take the minus of the blank value. Okay, blank values OD is taken from all the OD values and we'll get the final net OD. Final net OD is used to plot a graph. Okay, so this is how OD values are useful for us. And the reverse, I by I naught. So if I naught by I is a optical density value, I by I naught will represent the transmittance. Okay, whatever the components are transmitted, that particular transmittance are can be identified with this I by I naught. And absorbance share a linear relationship with sample concentration and the relationship between transmittance and sample concentration. Okay, so what is this? Absorbance share linear relationship with sample concentration as well as with transmittance and sample concentration. Okay, here the absorbance relationship is with sample concentration and transmittance and sample concentration is non-linear. Okay, and the two terms are mathematically calculated from one another by the equation A absorbance is equal to log I naught minus log I into I naught is equal to 100. Okay, so here the equation is A absorbance is equal to log I naught by log I into I naught is equal to 100. By substituting this log value of 100, here 2 minus log I will be obtained. So this is about Beer-Lambert's law. Now let's see about spectrum of light. Spectrum of light. So to start the topic, UV visible spectrometry, we should know about spectrum of light and also we'll discuss about few deviations of Beer-Lambert's law also. So not only this Boger-Lambert's law and Beer's law. This Beer-Lambert's law also have some deviations. Let's see these two topics, then we can start UV visible spect. Okay, here the beam of radiation from an electric bulb. So here for any UV visible spect or calorimetry or any such kind of experiments, here light source will be always a bulb. Okay, based on the source of light, bulb will be changed, but here overall you can take electric bulb as an example. Okay, so that means if you are carrying UV spectrophotometry, then you require a UV bulb. Okay, and if you are carrying another kind of any spectrometry, then you require source essential for that particular spectrophotometry. So in that manner we'll take different kinds of light sources based on the type of spectrophotometry we are going to carry on. Okay, so for now let's see about spectrum of light, in which we will take electric bulb as the light source. Okay, and here a beam of radiation, okay, beam of radiation from this electric bulb will have several wavelengths. Okay, so here a beam of radiation from an electric bulb consists of several wavelengths, and it is known as polychromatic beam. Okay, so polychromatic beam means it is nothing but it is a combination of several beams of radiation, several beam of radiations with different types of wavelengths. Each radiation beam will have different wavelength. Okay, and such collection of beams will be called as polychromatic. Okay, and here a beam in which all the rays has the same wavelength is known as monochromatic. Okay, if a beam consists of a beam in which all the rays consist of similar or same wavelength, it is called as monochromatic. Okay, polychromatic means beams will show different wavelengths, and for monochromatic beam will show different kinds of wavelengths. So this is difference between polychromatic and monochromatic beams. Okay, and the electromagnetic radiation is produced by events at a molecular, atomic or nuclear level. Okay, what does it mean? This electromagnetic radiation can be produced at molecular level and at atomic level and at nuclear level. So in any reactions, in the molecular reactions or in the atomic reaction between a few atoms, or nuclear based reactions also, this electromagnetic radiation can be produced, and this electromagnetic radiation will be helpful to identify different kinds of molecular reactions, atomic reactions and also nuclear level reactions. So this is how electromagnetic radiation will be helpful. Oscillations are nucleic and electrons in electrical or magnetic field, excitations of orbital electrons and nuclear breakup are some of the events which gives rise to electromagnetic radiation. So, of course, these electromagnetic radiations are produced by events of molecular interactions, atomic interactions or nuclear interactions. So, and these particular, what are the reactions which lead to this electromagnetic radiation production are oscillations of nucleic and electrons. Oscillations, that means movement of the components in a similar and equal wavelength. Okay, so oscillations. Okay, these oscillations in nucleic and electrons, nucleics and electrons during the electric field or magnetic field. Okay, movements of this nucleic nuclear components and electrons in an electric field and magnetic field, or excitation of orbital electrons. Okay, if any electrons in one orbit are excited to another, excited to move that particular electron to another orbital, that particular reactions, and also nuclear breakup. Okay, any nuclear breakup, and also some of the events in this electric and magnetic field will lead to production of this electromagnetic radiations. And here one more important aspect is color. Okay, one more important aspect is color.